when I worked with Bieber, my experience with him was a great one. He was a great kid. I mean, and everyone talks to him as like, he's doing this, and I'm like, yeah, what would you do at 14 with $100 million? You don't know who's your friend.
Yeah.
This is back to your story.
We did so many shows without doing it, and it's just like trying to stitch it together, or he stitches it together. How we doing, brother?
I'm doing amazing. Amazing. How you doing?
I'm fucking awesome, man. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Appreciate you having me.
For people just kind of listening, tuning in, why don't you do a brief introduction?
What up? I'm Matt Alonzo. I am a music video director, mostly known for music video directing, although I'm a director of many other formats. And yeah, that's about it. I mean, it's really hard to kind of, I don't know. I've never been good at that sort of introduction.
Yes.
It's like, I don't know, because it's not really like everything that I am. So it's kind of hard. Right. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I'm mostly, I'm a video guy.
That's what I'm talking about.
A video guy. I grew up with video my entire life. So it's always been a part of me. And I got kind of known for music videos. So that's why I say that.
Yeah, you did. Hold on one second. Hold on. I know I messed up on this. My bad, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Restart.
Oh, man. We'll just cut that out. All right. So, yeah, I mean, I think as human beings, we are very multifaceted. So it's like when I ask that question, what are you or who are you? It's
I'm
like,
sure you get some really like prepared answers like, hi, I'm it's just, but I don't, I've never been really good at that one.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I'd rather, the rawness and realness, instead of some like, like, fuck that shit. It's like, be who you are. And I think that's more important. But you definitely are a very talented director and a creative human being. Has it always been like that? Is that, been at Matt since he was a little kid, or?
I mean, I was crazy. So I've always been crazy, which I think goes with creativity.
Yeah.
I think you have to be a little bit out there. So yeah, I've always had that. As far as like filmmaking, yeah, I started filmmaking when I was like 6.
Oh shit.
Yeah. My dad just had a camera in my face at all times and I absolutely hated it.
Really?
Oh, imagine waking up and your dad's like, all right, hey, yeah, talk to the camera. You're like, it's 5:00 in the morning. I'm getting ready for school. I'm like, I don't want to talk to the camera.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I have a lot of footage of those days, but eventually I learned to love it. Once I saw my dad plug it into the TV, and I kind of tricked my brain into thinking like, oh shit, I'm on TV.
Yeah.
I'm famous. And then I saw that my mom would laugh, and my dad would laugh, and I was like, oh wow, this makes them happy. As a kid, that's all you want to do is make your parents happy.
100%.
So I can entertain my parents with this little box and this other little box. So I was like, all right. So that's kind of what I learned. It wasn't like I guess some kids probably learn, they make their parents happy by doing their homework or whatever it is. That was the thing that was the first thing that was shown to me that like I saw a reaction from. So I just learned that at a very young age that I could create reactions from people watching my stuff. And that's, I think that in essence, that is the essence of filmmaking. So yeah, I've always had that. I've always been, I wouldn't say creative because I wasn't like making, collages and like painting and all this other stuff. I was just making little movies and playing football. That's all I did.
I love that. And, I think creativity has so many different forms. I don't think creativity is just based on, drawings or collages. A lot of people say that like jujitsu is creative, right? The movements, the planning, the attack, right?
I agree. But if you knew me as a kid, you wouldn't necessarily be like, the first thing to describe me wouldn't be creative.
Okay.
It'd probably be crazy.
I get that.
I was off the walls. Like my parents didn't know what to do with me. They'd be in tears. So eventually they took me to a counselor and they were like, yeah, let him hit the pillow for 10 seconds and then tell him that's all he can do. And that actually really helped. So
it's so true. I remember for me, my wife, a few years back, she took me to this place in downtown LA. I forget the name of it, but the whole premise was like you put on this suit, right? And
Smash room?
Yeah. Dude, it was freaking incredible. It's so therapeutic. So
got all your anger out. For
absolutely. So I remember as a kid, I'd be angry and I'd grab my pillow and just screaming it as loud as I possibly could. And there's just something that feels so good at the end of it. So
see, I would rip my posters off and I'd be like, they're abusing me. Somebody help me. And I'd be yelling and all that. They were like, none of that anymore. Here's a pillow.
Yes.
You get 10 seconds. go ham, and I did that, and it worked. It just seemed to really work, just giving me the boundaries, I guess. So
Yeah.
but that would be the first thing that most people would describe me as, is crazy, not necessarily creative. So
Do you think to be creative, you have to be a little crazy?
1,000, you have to be kind of bad shit,
Right? So,
Yeah.
because like if you look at some of the most legendary creatives that have ever lived, I mean, just even from a musical sense, you know, you got the Joplins, the Hendrix, the Cobains, right?
You have to be. And one thing I've learned over the years, though, is that in any of the arts, you have to be almost like a people pleaser as well.
Yeah.
Something in childhood or in your parents' childhood has to derail a little bit for you as a person to be able to endure what it takes to like make it as an artist, no matter what field, actor, painter, because you go through so much adversity, so much rejection that most people just go, okay, I'll go get a job after one or two of those things, and the artists who actually make it through hundreds of them.
Yeah.
And so I started to think like you really have to be off your rocker to actually make it through all those.
Yeah.
There were so many times my dad was just like, he just threw his hands up in frustration because he didn't understand why I would continue in something that's rejecting me.
Yes.
You know,
I
so
get that.
so that's when I knew like, okay, you really have to be. A couple screws are definitely loose if you're in this field.
100%. And especially for a lot of creatives, you have to be used to, I mean, very slim few make it like that, but a lot have to get used to rejection, right? You have to get a lot of no's before you get that yes, before you get that chance.
Absolutely. And that's the one thing that I try to teach and like talk about, because it's not something that people necessarily want to hear or talk about. I mean, for whatever reason, really strange to me, but you know, Instagram and all these other platforms, everyone wants to talk about their wins, but there's so many losses before you get that win. So I feel like those should be included so that when these younger, creatives are going through these hard times or facing adversity, they can understand, oh, it's part of the process. It's one of the steps.
Yes.
Because it is one of the steps. It's not like you don't get to skip it,
No.
I'm trying to think if I know anybody who's actually skipped it, but no. I mean, there's people who've made it faster than others for whatever reasons, various reasons, but and then even when you make it, you're still gonna face that, whether it's the next step or whatever, right? Like
Absolutely.
It's just part of it. But these younger creatives don't really understand that. I think most creatives don't understand that because you just don't learn that in the books.
Yeah, 100%, right? And I think in today's culture with social media, people want to post the best moments for the most part, right?
Yeah.
So you don't get to see all the steps that it took to even make that picture, that moment, that thing. And some of the best people that I like to follow are so raw and real, and they post both sides of the story.
Absolutely.
And
I mean, that's appreciated. Like,
Right?
I appreciate that very much, you
Yes.
know, and I think the younger generations should take a look. Not even younger, I guess, if you're older like myself.
Yes.
And you're coming into a new territory, then you should definitely, have some of that information. But I guess who wants to read about that stuff?
100%, right? I get it. I get it.
I mean, I do, but
Yeah.
like I said, I'm a little bit off my rocker. So, you know what I mean? Because for me, like I grew up knowing it was going to be hard. My dad is more of he's a realist for sure. Most would probably say a pessimist, but he definitely prepared me for the worst at all moments. Like understanding like it's going to rain every day, not like in a, let me pout type of way, but in a way that prepared me for rain, so that when it rained, my day wasn't ruined, and if it didn't rain, it was great.
Yes. Yeah.
So, but that's just the way I was raised. So like when I started going through hard times, I didn't budge.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great thing that your father taught you, right? Because not every day is going to be good, right? And if you expect every day to be good, you're going to be let down every single fucking day.
And I just don't understand how people do that.
Yeah,
it's
like strange.
It just blows me away. Like, why would you want every day to suck?
No, of course. And life is finite, man. It's a blink of an eye, and you have no idea what today is going to bring, let alone the next minute. Anything can happen, good or bad.
Yeah, and if you prepare for the worst, or if you go into the day thinking like it's going to be a hard day, not like, oh, life sucks, not that sort of mentality, but like it's going to be a hard day every day, because there's a ton of different things that can and possibly or might more often than not happen than that are out of your control.
Yeah.
just got to roll with the punches. And if you prepare for the worst and it's anything less than that, it's a win.
Yes.
But if you prepare for sunshine, you prepare for like the best day, you're late to work by 2 minutes, your day's already fucked.
Yeah.
You know?
I love that. I love that outlook on life. Where does your story start? Right. Cause you've brought up your father a couple of times now. You know, you said at 6 years old, that's when you picked up the camera. Where does your story originate?
Like from there or before that?
No, like around that time, you know, when you were a little kid.
Yeah. I mean, well, a little bit before that, little backstory is that both of my parents were street kids.
Okay.
So they both came from broken homes. They were, you know, my grandma was a heroin addict. My mom's side was really religious and just kind of, which is ironic because, you know, they outcast, you know, anyone who breaks rules and things like that. So both my parents never had a good family structure, never saw any sort of family dynamic, and actually met one night and made me without even really knowing each other, you know? And so when my dad found out I was pregnant, my dad decided like, okay, I'm going to film everything because I never had a family. So I'm going to, I guess, just document every second of it. Wow. I mean, really kind of a strange, but he wanted to just have it all, you know, he wanted to give us the childhood, and my mom, they wanted to give us the childhood that they never had. Yeah. So that really went into a lot of my story just because of like, I mean, how often does that happen? Like, and yes. My dad told my mom, like, I don't know you, but I'll learn to love you. Wow. You know, like I'll learn to know you and love you. And at 18 years old, you know, so by the time we got the camera, we were already kind of, you know, I think out of like hotels and like doing all that type of stuff, you know, so we were getting a little bit more stable. And that's also why the camera was such a big component to our childhood, is because we, you know, my dad and my mom gave us everything that we asked for as much as they could, but they made sure that like family and you know, watching movies together, just having that sort of bond was the key component to like everything. And so like we'd sit down, watch a movie, then we'd watch our little movies that we would do. And so it was a big thing in my childhood. So it just kind of always stayed, I wouldn't say a priority, but it always stayed in my back pocket.
I love that.
And I played football, and that was pretty much all I did. I played football. I was a wild kid, homecoming king, just like ditch school every day.
There we go.
I just played, you know, it was wild. It was definitely a wild childhood, but I always had the camera with me. But I didn't even think about like going to, I didn't even know what film school was, you know? Graduated, and I was like, all right, what the fuck do I do now? Like, I had never thought about what to do after high school, you know? And my parents, they didn't even graduate high school, so they didn't know really how it all worked or like what I needed to like study for or take certain tests. They couldn't really tell me because they didn't really know, you know? So I got out of high school. We went to a film school, Brooks, and we walked around. They sat my parents down. They told them the price. They were like, "Oh, absolutely not. We can't afford this place," you know? Yeah. So I was like, "All right." Went to Santa Barbara City College. And filmmaking was kind of an afterthought at that point. Like I was doing a couple of weddings, you know, maybe a local music video. And by chance, one of my friends who I got into filmmaking decided to go to that school that I couldn't go to. And I was doing all those projects for him, just helping him out. And still, I was working at the Gap, worked for the city of Santa Barbara at 6 a.m, cleaning parking lots. Wow. And then I worked at the Gap, then I went to school, and then I drove all the way back to Ventura, which is like 30 minutes away. I did that every day. And then I helped him out with his projects. And he pulled my dad aside and was like, "Your son is acing all my projects, and he's like doing them on the side. Like, you really need to get him into this school." And I didn't know he was telling him that, but he kept telling him like, "Yo, you really have to get him here," you know? So eventually my parents decided to refinance the house and put up the money to get me there. So
that's incredible.
Yeah, it was a big sacrifice. And I kind of like, at that point, I had already dicked around enough in high school and like kind of had my sort of college experience, if you will. Yeah. So I was like, okay. And I understood what was happening. So I just took it upon myself to like take all the notes I possibly could, stay extra time in classes, do internships. I still have every single note from college. Because of the sacrifice that my parents were taking and making for me to go there, I just had to put it on my shoulders and be like, all right, I'm gonna make sure that your money does not get wasted. You know what I mean? Because that would just be a huge slap in their face, you know.
Absolutely.
But that was like a pressure, I think, from my standpoint, that I just put on myself. They didn't, force that pressure upon me. But while I was at film school with that sort of hunger, I was interning everywhere. Anywhere that would have me, I would intern. And so I did a couple of internships in Los Angeles while still being a full-time student in Ventura. And one of them decided to start paying me. Yeah, before I graduated, I was getting paid. And I was only editing for this company, but I had 2 computers at the time. So I would charge them double hours for every hour that I worked because I had 2 machines going. So I'd be like rendering one thing and then like editing another, and I would charge them 2 hours for every hour. And it was a lot of money. It was a lot of money. But I graduated film school. I went above and beyond. Teachers were like, yo, you just got to chill out. Like, you'll be all right, you know? But this was back in the day where like I had my own website, and they were like, no, you can't have your own website.
What?
Yeah, because back then it was like, go be a PA, work your way up the ladder. They didn't really understand, oh, you're a director and you're an editor? No, you can only be one thing.
Yeah.
They're like, people are not going to hire you. They want specialty, people that are very specialized in one thing. I'm like, well, I'm specialized in both of them,
Absolutely.
But graduated, moved right out to Santa Monica. The company that I was interning for hired me full-time to basically be like director editor for his record label. And they fired the rest of the staff. They were like, all right, we don't need anybody else.
What? What?
Because I was directing and editing and shooting. I was shooting everything as well. So
How old were you?
22. 22,
Jeez,
making like
man.
$120, Santa Monica, the day after I graduated,
So you really realized the magnitude of what your parents did for you, refinancing the home and all of that. And
Not really. Not like in that sense, because that just, yes, to answer your question, yes, because the hunger was there. And like in order to get me into this area, this company, or get myself in front of this company. But I wasn't like actively looking for a job or anything like that. They just happened to say, all right, you're an intern, now you're getting paid. And then I started getting paid. And then once I graduated and I was like, okay, I can move to LA. They were like, all right, you're hired full time. It wasn't like it was like that was one of the things that I didn't really, that kind of just opened up for me.
Yeah.
I will say that, because if that didn't open up, I wasn't actively like dropping my resume at other places or anything like that. You know?
But you were also still so new, right? Like
I had no idea. But
exactly.
I didn't know 120 grand or 30 grand was great.
Yeah.
Like,
for a 22-year-old kid, right? Right off the jump, that's fantastic.
Yeah, but I just didn't know because I had nothing to compare it to.
Absolutely.
Other than like flipping burgers when I was 14 or something, which was so far in the past that I wasn't like, oh, let me compare the money, right?
Absolutely.
And to be honest, I wasn't even thinking about the money. I was thinking about on the drive here. I'm like, man, those first probably 10 years, I didn't think about money at all.
Yeah, but that's a beautiful thing, right?
Yeah.
Obviously you should think about money, but if you're doing it because you truly love the craft.
Exactly. That is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
But it's, as probably know, like in any of these arts, it's such a fine line between like starving artists and
True.
And I won't even say it like a rich artist, because you're not necessarily an artist anymore. You kind of lose that artistry when you become when you make money in this field or any sort of field. Just like if you're a painter and if you're an artist as a painter, you're painting your own murals, your own whatever. But if you start to make money, it's most likely going to be from commission jobs, which somebody else is telling you what to do, and that kind of strips the artistry away a little bit.
True.
Right? In the purest form.
I get what you're saying.
So I was much more of an artist.
Yes.
Let's just say that. But financially, I was okay,
Yeah.
But excuse me. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
And he's back. No, so you go through that experience, right? You go through school. How long was school?
3 years.
So 3 years,
3
right?
years full time.
And you're going above and beyond and just doing everything you possibly can. What were those 3 years like for you?
Amazing.
Amazing.
Absolutely amazing. Film school for me was it changed my life. Before that, I didn't even know that cameras had lenses. Like,
Really?
Because you got to remember, before, this was back in I graduated in '03, so this is when you had VHS tapes and
Yeah.
mini DV tapes, right? Like the first concert that I did, I filmed on the first HD camera.
Jeez.
So everything was still 640 by 480, right? Like
Yeah.
so to go to film school and then see these lenses go on these cameras and things like that, like it changed my life. But what changed my life really more so, or changed my outlook on film, was learning why to cut into a close up and learning all the psychology of filmmaking and like what people subconsciously take from the screen. That really like, because I was always kind of good at that just by chance, or I don't know, maybe my parents developed some sort of emotional, intelligence within me that I was able to like dissect this stuff. I couldn't ever explain it to you back then, but once I actually learned the terms and really like learned how to look at things differently, and then looked at what I wanted to convey to my audience, that really changed my life, and then really just having other people show me that you could make money in this, because for me it was always a hobby. It was for my parents, it was just something I did on the side.
Yeah.
So I didn't think about it in terms of like I can make money this way. So that those two things really like changed my life,
When you were going through school and then you got that job, what kind of stuff were you working on back then?
So the company was called Irwin Naturals. The guy, Clee Irwin, you can look him up. He's still out there now, but he made all his money off. He made all his money off a colon cleanse.
Really?
He bought a colon cleanse from somebody else, and he made infomercials and made millions.
Okay.
He had colon cleanse. He had millions of dollars. He had a wife. I think she was Brazilian, and he had a black mistress. And they knew each other. They would go to lunch together in the office and stuff. She wanted to create a record label. And so he's like, all right, yeah, let's create a record label, because he had so much excess money. So we had this, like, there was a corporate office, and there was a part of it that downstairs. I mean, I'm talking super corporate, like super corporate. Okay, like super, I won't say dorky, but like dorky.
Yeah.
I mean, just really, okay, we got to have this. Yeah. And then you have a record label there. So you have all these rappers and everything. So she wanted him to sign all her friends, who some of them had been signed to death row, some of them had been whatever. And so he signed 3 artists, and then he made a skateboarding rap group, which was actually a smart idea, just was too early. But so he had 4 artists total, and he wanted to make a double album for each of them, and then he wanted to shoot a music video for every song.
Wow.
And then he wanted to sell it like an infomercial. We actually filmed it. He's like, "Hey, how's it going, man? And for $4, you can call now and get, like it was, it didn't work, obviously.
Obviously.
But I was editing some of those music videos, and then when I came up, I started just directing and shooting and editing them as well.
Yeah.
Which was cool, because it was, right up my alley. And then I was just like, all right, just kind of thrown into this world. Here's 20 grand, go shoot a video, or here's $5 grand, whatever it was. Like,
yeah.
So that's what I was doing when I got there. I think like a couple months after that, they told him, like, you've already spent like $3 million. You're done. The side project is done. And it hadn't made any money. No album had been out. No song had been out, because he wanted to like package them all.
Yeah.
And then, give you like a limited time discount. But if you call now, which was a really strange way to sell this, to market it. But regardless, it failed. So they were like, all right, all that's gone. So I came to work, and he's like, all right, you got to help me work on these infomercials.
Oh.
So I was like, okay. So I did one, and I'm like, let's do a newscast. Let's make it look like a newscast, because I asked, like, who's our target market? And he was like, 50 to 80 is pretty much who's buying this shit. And I was like, all right, let's make it look like you go onto a news,
Yeah.
and you talk about how this cleanse is revolution. Basically you'll die if you don't take it.
Yeah.
Type of thing. And it did numbers. Like,
I'm sure.
Yeah, we had a little ticker on the bottom. We had everything, But the next one we did, I don't remember the exact idea, because he came up with that one. But my final day was when he asked me to, like, he wore too light of a makeup. So his makeup and his face and his neck were 2 different colors. And he wanted me to like go into like an hour-long infomercial and paint his neck.
No.
Yeah, dude. And
no.
And I just remember that. I just remember going, what the heck? I'm like you're I'm wasting. I'm rotting away here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I called my dad, and he's like, I was crying. I was like, what do I didn't know what to do. You know, I was kind of just thrown into the situation. I had no real plan of any, like, I didn't really even think about, like, what am I going to do tomorrow after this? I didn't think about anything.
Yeah.
Even when I accepted the job, I wasn't thinking, like, okay, how's my career going to go? Like, I was just so young. So he's like, are you growing as a man? I said, no. Are you growing as a creative? And I said, no. He's like, okay, you know what to do. I said, okay. I don't think he meant like right that second, but as soon as I hung up the phone, I picked up my bag and I just walked out of the office. You know,
To be young.
yeah, I know, right? I didn't think about anything. I didn't think about, oh, how am I going to pay my bill? Like I didn't,
Yeah.
you know, and I had brand new car, new apartment. You know what I mean? Like I had no concept of money or bills.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, obviously, obviously, you know what I mean? Yeah, and
I love that.
But the thing is that, you know, one thing that I really wanted to experience was like a mentor or like somebody within the company that could like show me things. And I was already at the plateau. Like I was already the highest member in my department. So it was kind of fruitless at that point, you know? And I was kind of like advanced in my career, like assessment at that point, but like really not in terms of like all the other shit. Cause I just literally walked out, you know? And then shortly after that, they took my car.
Holy
you know what
shit.
I mean?
Yeah.
My landlord came knocking and, you know, things like that. So
everything fell apart.
I wouldn't say it fell apart for me. It got better.
Well, obviously, but
Yeah.
you know,
No, but I mean, it even got better at that point because I wasn't going in painting necks. You know what I mean?
so true.
You know, and for an artist at that point and a young kid, that was the end all be all. Like there was no bigger element to my life at that point. Like bills, they were down here in terms of my priority list.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's crazy, right? I mean, we've all heard that saying. It's like when a monkey swings from a tree, right? It doesn't just let go of the branch; it goes.
Yeah,
but,
right. Yeah, no.
But sometimes you need that fire, right? That gets lit in your ass, right?
Yeah.
To go on to the next thing, right? And like obviously, as an adult now, you look at things different. You have a different perspective. But when you're younger, a lot of times we go off of impulse, and sometimes it's beneficial, and sometimes it's not. So for you, you go through that experience. What was the next step? Did you have to move back home or?
No, I mean, the next step was really, like you said, it actually lit a fire under my ass. And it kind of just like gave clarity to my mind. Of course, I lost my car. Yeah. They repossessed that bad boy real quick. Rent was a struggle. And wore the same clothes for a little while.
Yeah.
But Top Ramen was,
your best friend.
Oh, absolutely. Top Ramen and 7-Eleven coffee was about my diet.
Yes.
But it gave me the ability to like really see the landscape for what it was and then kind of figure out like, what am I going to do? Obviously I couldn't really think about it so broad because I had limited funds and I had a lot, like, things were coming up. So Craigslist was, I think, one of the new, the new platforms, new places to go for work. So I would stay on there and build up my MySpace. Like my MySpace was kind of like, YouTube had barely started going. I mean, YouTube was in its infancy.
Yeah.
So you couldn't really, there wasn't a market. There wasn't really eyeballs there. No one really believed in it at that point. I don't even know how many videos were on it. This was like in 06, 07. So
long time ago.
Yeah. I know. And it's kind of crazy to probably hear that YouTube wasn't a thing.
But, I know, it's weird.
It wasn't. So Craigslist, and just trying to like talk to my friends and figure out, because a lot of the company a lot of the people that he had hired to run the record company stayed around, and the engineer at the record studio was my roommate. We ended up living together. He went and got a job at DirecTV. I ended up not getting a job and just trying to like find ways to make money. But he knew I was talented, so he always kept me in his mouth and like kept the word, like passing on the word, because he was friends with so many artists. I did a couple of Craigslist jobs. One of the ones that like I vividly remember that was like this lady from Soul Train. She was like wanted to make a highlight tape from like Soul Train, which was like 4 years ago. You know what I mean? And she gave me a box, like a big box of tapes, and like
shit, and
was like, here, like $200 or something. And I was just like, what the fuck? But I did it, or at least I started. I don't know if I don't think I ever finished it. But I mean, just the thought of that, I was like, holy crap! Like
That's a lot.
But that's what you get on Craigslist, especially,
course.
you know, you just get people with unrealistic expectations and very little money. So, and when you're taking all the jobs because you have no option to say no, it definitely puts you in a bind. A little while later, my roommate said, "Hey, I have some artists in San Diego. They want to shoot a music video. A portion of the music video they want to have it shot at their concert. They're going to be performing at the House of Blues. So we go, do you want to go do it?" And I'm like, "Sure." I think it was $300.
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, "All right, yeah, let's just go." You know, like it could lead to something. These were kids from the reservation down in San Diego who had a lot of money, and their parents told them that they had to go do something with this money because they were making like $100,000 a month.
Shit.
Just from their blood. They were they had so much percentage. And so they're like, "All right, we'll be rappers." And so I was like, "All right, let me see if I can do something here. It's better than these tapes."
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. So we went down there and I pull up to the House of Blues in San Diego. I look up to the marquee. Lil Wayne is on the marquee. His name's on the marquee. And I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. I'm like, it's like, what? He's like, "Oh yeah, they're opening up for Lil Wayne." And this was when the Carter 2 had came out.
Shit.
Carter 3 was about to come out. So Wayne was like, and he was my favorite artist. And he was just
Yeah.
so big. He was so big at the time. It was insane. So I was like freaking out inside. And so we shoot these rappers. I mean, they were atrocious. Shout out to them. They already know like they don't rap anymore or stuff like that. They weren't really rappers, but they, needed to do something so that I got off their back. We shot them and I begged Lil Wayne's people, like, "Let me shoot the concert." They said, "No, you got to leave with the cameras. As soon as your act's done, you guys are out of here." My roommate, he has a mouthpiece on him. He went and chopped it up. He's like, came back. He's like, "All right, you guys can film, but you have to turn in give them a promo video for his European concert. He's leaving in like 2 weeks. So as long as you can make a little promo for that tour, then you can film."
What?
So I was like, "All right." So I was in the pit and I had, like I said, I had the HVX, which was the first HD camera that was out at the time. I had one of my friends on stage and then one of my friends in the way back with like a DVX with the mini DV. Both two cameras had mini DVs. And we shot the concert. And then, sorry.
No, bro, this is incredible.
Yeah, we shot the concert. And I'm like, "Yo, let's get home. Everyone's getting let's get home." And they're like, "Why? I'm like, "Don't worry about it. Give me your tapes." And as soon as I got home, it was like, I don't know, 3 a.m. I imported all the tapes because back then you had to actually watch it.
Yep.
Yeah, as it imported, which was crazy. And then I just cut it up. Like, I didn't go to bed. I just cut it up because I knew that somebody was going to put something out.
Yeah.
Although they never really did, but that was just my thought.
Yeah.
Like, I got to be the first one. So as soon as I was done, I did all these like split screens and color correction. No one at the time had anything close to this. Like, it looked professional.
Yeah.
Put it on YouTube, labeled it Lil Wayne official music video, and it blew up.
No way.
Yeah, this was back, like I said, back in 06, 07. So no one was putting official.
No.
So MTV, BET, all the blogs took it, thinking like they put it on their channel, thinking it was like an official music video because it says official. Like, why wouldn't it be?
Did you get in trouble for that?
No, because there was nothing out at the time. Like, no copyright infringements. Vivo wasn't out. We actually made Vivo become a thing because I'll tell you about that later in the story. But no, there was absolutely like none. There was no policing of YouTube at the time.
Holy crap! And so, wait, did you end up delivering the promo to Lil Wayne?
Yeah, we did that, and then and this all happened like within like a couple weeks. So that blew up, and I think it was the first video, one of the first like music videos to get 1 million. And then we delivered a couple different options of those promos, and they were like, "Yo, we love this shit. Come to Las Vegas." We're like, "Okay, like come to Las Vegas, come film the behind the scenes of his Lollipop video." And I'm like, "Okay, let's go." I'm like,
no way.
I don't even have money for gas, but I'm like, "Let's go." So I had a couple other friends from film school who had just graduated. So I'm like, "Yo, you guys want to come as well?" So we loaded up. We had like 6 of us. Everybody had cameras, and we went off to the Maloof's house. You know who the Maloofs are? They owned the Sacramento Kings.
Oh my gosh.
Back then, and they owned like two of the casinos in Las Vegas at the time. So they were, super rich, super like popping.
Yeah.
And so we would go to their house and we shoot the behind the scenes. Tyga was
Yeah.
Tyga, like he was Tiger at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Right. Like Kendrick, he was known by K-Dot at the time. That's where I met them. Schoolboy Q, J-Rock, like all these artists,
Yeah.
right? And I'm like, yo, let's shoot something when we get back in town, whatever, especially with like Kendrick and Tyga, like, and Schoolboy, because they were passing out their mix. They were so young at the time, and I was young, so I'm like, yo, you guys need music videos? Let's do it,
Wow.
So that relationship, those relationships came from that experience. So I couldn't believe that I was like right next to Wayne filming him, and I'm like, why is nobody stopping me? I'm like, what's going on? Because I'm like, I can shoot my own music video here.
Right, literally, that'd be such a surreal moment in your life, right?
It was a trip,
right?
Yeah.
Like, and just think about it. Like, if you would not have taken that opportunity from your friend to film, those kids at the House of Blues, and then have a good friend to put, his name out for you, like, who knows what would have happened?
Oh yeah,
right.
No, I know what would happen.
Nothing, right?
Yeah,
because this was like the precipice. Like, this was like the changing moment of your life, correct?
Yeah. No, I mean, at least my career.
That's what, not life, but career.
Yeah. Essentially, yes.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely. And it all happened, if you boil it down to, hey, do you want to shoot this for $300? And so that's why I tell a lot of the creators out there, you got to take every opportunity. Now, if it's somebody repeatedly asking you for favors, then that's where you draw the line. But you don't know, right? And the many, it could be exactly what it sounds like, and then whatever, you don't do it again. But
of course,
you got to take those chances, and so I did, and it opened up. I mean, at the same time, I could have filmed the concert and came at home and not edited anything.
Absolutely,
and it would have been nothing.
Yes.
So there was a lot of factors to that.
Yeah, you couldn't have put it on YouTube. You couldn't have done this, right? But you took this opportunity and you ran with it. You had that hunger, you had that drive and motivation inside of you to do these things. And it's just pretty crazy to hear, because I remember during that time, Lil Wayne was my fucking dude.
Yeah, no, he was.
He was the dude.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh man. I mean that was definitely one of the highlights of my life for sure.
I mean, I don't doubt it.
Just the way that it went down. Like, I didn't know I was going to Lil Wayne's concert. Yeah. Right. And then I'm like, look up and I'm like, Lil Wayne. And I actually recently went down there for like TwitchCon, and we ended up having this party with like Travis Scott. But it was like right down the street, and I'm like, drove by. I'm like, oh, that's where my career started. Like, I hadn't seen it since then. So it was definitely nostalgic. It was cool.
Yeah.
So I go down there. It was definitely very surreal. Like 2 weeks ago, my car was getting repossessed. Not like I was making millions of dollars, but I was the potential of starting a new career, new life was on the horizon, right? So it was definitely exciting and motivating, and very, like I said, surreal moment. So I drove back, and like a week later, YouTube used to be able to send messages via YouTube. They stopped it for some reason, but I saw a notification. I'm like, oh, I have messages. Like, I didn't even know. And DJ Ski had messaged me like, yo, this video is crazy. Like, you're dope. Hit me up.
Damn.
And I was like, who's DJ Ski? And I went to his thing, and he had like 2 videos up, and it was him with Game. And I'm like, oh yeah, he's Game's DJ. He was the one putting all Game's mixtapes out. DJ Ski presents.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, all right, yeah, like I know this guy. So I hit him up, and he's like, come meet me. Come meet me in the valley. I was like, okay. No car, so I'm like, okay. But I got there somehow.
Yep. No car, no Uber.
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking about that like 2 days ago. I'm like, Uber has to be one of the best inventions like ever.
Yeah.
Just ever. I mean, just for
it's
so
brilliant.
many people. Yeah,
scary as shit, but brilliant.
Definitely. There's some stories on those channels if you want to watch.
Just getting in random person's fucking car. Right? It's so weird.
I know. But it is genius though.
It is.
And it's so helpful for not only the drivers, but the users as well. But somehow made it there without those two options. And he's like, look, I want to start a company. I want to start a channel called, Ski TV. I don't have a ton of money. We have a little bit of investment, but, you'll take some ownership in this thing if you want to do it. And, right now we're just going to see where it goes. And I was like, all right, yeah. Like I had no other option really, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is your game's DJ. Like like you're always in the studio, you're always doing things. So if I stay close to you, then
Shit should happen.
absolutely,
Yes.
know. And I would say within like I don't know a month or two, we shot the Cardinal Official featuring the clips, and then the game featuring Travis Barker, Dope Boys video.
Yeah.
So that was, I mean, relatively quick. And then we did like New Boys, You're a Jerk, and Soldier Boy, Turn My Swag On, Fly Like a G6, like all those videos.
So you filmed all those?
Yeah, directed and
Directed
and edited them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it? I mean, going from the Lil Wayne experience to just a few months later, having this snowball experience, like what is going through your mind, right? Because you were doing like the infomercial and like, the record stuff, and, you had a nice salary, then that, went out the window. And then you have this experience, and now you're just like at this point in your life working with some of the biggest acts in the entire world.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It definitely was insane, but for me, it was more like, I felt this is where I was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I had practiced so many days over and over and over. All these things, writing shot lists, shooting, directing actors, just rehearsed over and over and over that I was prepared for it. So I was like more so like militant, I guess, in my like preparation and execution. I wasn't so blown away by the moment, but I was more focused on the task.
Yes.
So,
well, that's good though, because like if you got starstruck and act all weird, and that could be strange. Like, yes, it's cool, but you have this job to do. You're going to do your fucking job, and you're going to do it well.
And that's the way I've always been. And I got to say, all acts definitely respect and appreciate that very much. Right.
Of course.
But yeah, that's what I was just thinking, like, this is where I was supposed to be. Like, this is, I don't know. I just thought like, but I felt that way when I was dead broke and eating top ramen.
Yeah.
Like I still felt like I'm gonna be there.
Yes.
I had it didn't change. Like my confidence or personality didn't change from top ramen, no car,
Yeah.
Don't know how I'm gonna pay my rent to working with the top artists,
Yeah.
It was just every day. Like
Absolutely.
it's just a day as usual. I brought my parents to that set though, so that was pretty cool.
Which one?
The game featuring Travis Barker.
Yeah.
I brought my mom and dad.
What'd they think?
They just tripped out. I mean, obviously, right? I mean, 2 weeks ago, I'm calling them like, Dad, Mom, I don't know how I'm going to eat. Mom, I need some, you know what I mean? And then I'm like, hey, come, I'm shooting, you mean the guy from TV? Like, yeah, the guy from TV,
It's crazy, right? And you never know what tomorrow is going to bring you. Your whole life and everything can change in a blink of an eye.
Absolutely.
Right? You just have to have that, like you said, prepared. There's a saying that one of my mentors taught me. It's called the 6 Ps. Prior planning prevents piss poor performance, right? And like it's been drilled into my head, right? And like a keyword you just said a bit ago is like being militant, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's really important for whatever you're doing in your life. And then now you're at this experience bringing your parents. Like, I mean, if I was your mom or dad, I'd be so proud of my kid.
Of course. Right? I mean, I think they were definitely proud and just in awe of like what was going on, because they had never been to any sort of shoot or set before that. Like, we might have shot little films at the house, but they had never seen anything like that. But for us, I mean, for me anyways, it was like just I had prepared, and I had mentally, physically put in the reps. So, and that's one thing that I gotta preach to like anybody listening is you have to do it, because for the 10 years, nobody was looking at me, right? Like I put in those reps every day, regardless of how I felt, what was going on, if it was raining, if it was snowing, it didn't matter, right? It didn't matter to me. And I just practiced and practiced for what? I didn't know, but I just kept practicing. And then when my time came, my confidence and like my confidence and my belief within myself was, as high as it could be, because I had already done all the work. There was no question if I was ready or not. It kind of felt like the first day of school though, that morning or like that night. Like, what am I gonna wear? Let me put it. Let me lay it out, right? Because like, and I don't think I slept very much, because it's your nerves are going crazy. But that was the first music video that was ever shot on a Red camera. We shot on the Red 1, and that was the first video. And Interscope gave us these budgets kind of like as a joke, like because people were still shooting $250,000 music videos. Like that was kind of the lowest it would go.
Whoa.
So Ski came in and was like, "Hey, give us 10 grand, give us 20 grand, and we'll shoot a music video." They're like, "Yeah, sure." They're like, "Okay, here you go." And you know, they were kind of like thought it was a joke, right?
Yeah.
And then we came back and actually had Dope Boys on Jimmy Iovine's desk the next day. Yeah, the next day. But then it kind of messed up the entire market of music videos, because now he's like, "Oh, we can do these high quality videos for 20 grand and have them edited in one day." So I never did that again.
I'm sure.
I never did that again, but I definitely wanted to like show that I could. But it kind of took the industry in that lane. Like we definitely ignited the fire to go that direction.
Yeah, I mean, because it's kind of crazy. Like $250,000. It's a lot of money, man.
Yeah, I mean, and they still spend it, and I've gotten those, but that was kind of the norm. So we were the first ones to come in and say, "You don't need to spend that much money. We can give you the same quality using these new cameras that no one has ever used before.
Yeah,
Nor do they know how to use them, except for us young kids. And for a fraction of the money, we can give you the same thing." And not only did we say that, we just went and proved it.
Yeah,
and then that's where the floodgates
it
opened. And I didn't understand what exactly we were doing in terms of like revolutionizing the budgets and the modality of like music videos, because we were just looking for an opportunity, and when the opportunity presented itself, we didn't really care how big or how small. We were just going to execute the best we could, and it kind of changed the game, you know.
That's incredible. When you go into these like experiences, especially early on, like Turn My Swag On, Soulja Boy, or Game, or whoever, like, how do you guys come up with the ideas of making a music video? Is it like a whole bunch of writers, or
no way? No, I mean, most of the time you'll get a song and they'll give you some information. It's called a solicitation. They'll say like, you know, Soulja Boy, Turn My Swag On, 20 grand. Needs to shoot in LA, needs to shoot maybe between these days when the artist is going to be in town, or it'll say wherever it needs to be shot, during what time frame. And if they have any sort of creative ideas, it'll be in a description like, "Hey, the artist wants to do something." They'll just use buzzwords, you know, out of the box, you know, whatever, and which don't really help you too much. But what I've learned is that a lot of times artists or their management or their team or the label will have some sort of idea of what they want to do. They just won't tell you. And they'll just like, because these solicitations go out to like 50 directors, and everybody writes their own idea. They send them in, and then the artist or the commissioner goes through and reads them all and then says, "I want to use this one." Right. So I did my due diligence and just tried to get as much information from anybody on that side of the team, just to figure out like what was in your brain, so that I could like write it and you could think that I thought was in your brain. So they'd be like, "Yeah, this guy," because like you want to try to extract as much information, but it's really on the director. I mean, some directors have like writers who write them for them, but I've always just wrote my own, or like my producers would write mine. We would sit down, come up with the idea, and they would actually do the writing. I'm a horrible writer.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah, me too. I'm terrible.
So now I'm just like pictures, you know, because they look at the pictures anyways, you know. But back then, like a lot of the songs that we did were like B-side records. They didn't think the songs were gonna do too well.
Yeah.
Like Turn My Swag On, that was like a throwaway song.
Damn.
So they're like, "Oh yeah, sure, give it to these guys who are trying out, who are shooting for nothing.
My gosh.
Let's just send it that way."
And it just blows up.
Yeah, and actually the video commissioner didn't even know that we had shot, and the video was already out and like number one on BET. They're like, "Oh, the song's doing so well, let's shoot a video." They're like, the video's already out, you know? And so that kind of backfired, because the commissioners is kind of like, you know, they're the ones for the record label who actually, their job is to go hire and see out the whole process of the music video. So you don't really want to piss them off.
Well, I'm kind of confused. Why did you piss them off, or how?
Because the marketing, we were very close with, Ski was very close with Chris Clancy, who was the like head of marketing at Interscope. He was like Eminem's right hand, and he was now like the CEO of Tyler the Creator and all Odd Future. Like he was their manager and he created the record label and everything with them. But he was giving us the budgets and he was the marketing, head of marketing. He wasn't the commissioner, but he was giving us peanuts. So he was more of like just testing us out with some of the marketing money. So we kind of just went around them.
Oh,
but not on purpose.
Yeah, it just kind of happened that way.
Yeah, because like they were hiring whoever they normally hire for $250 and doing their normal process.
Yeah.
We wanted an opportunity. Ski went and talked to him. He was like, "Hey, we have a couple of artists that you can. Here's some side money. Just see what you can do." Instead of like 10,000 on a poster or something, they were just like, "All right, let's just put it into a music video." Because at that point, it had never been done. 10,000 for a music video was unbelievable.
Absurd.
Yeah.
And then it blows up, right? You have these
Yeah.
songs that just freaking blow up when they're thinking they're just throwaway songs.
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, I remember Turn My Swagger. That was fucking everywhere, constantly, nonstop.
Yeah, the song really blew up. And like, and one thing that's one of many of Ski's talents was picking songs.
Okay.
Like there were songs like "You're a Jerk." I was like, "Dude, no."
Yeah.
He's like, "Yes." I said, "No." He said, "Yes." I said, "All right." And I trusted him, but some of the songs I was like, "What is going on?" But they all blew up, and that's one thing that really helped my career was we didn't do it. Like sometimes there would be more money in some other songs, but Ski would be like, "No, this song's not going to do very well." So he didn't care about the money. He cared more about the exposure.
Yeah.
And so then I really learned a lot of marketing from him, like how we used those first like 10 videos as like a calling card. We didn't really make any money on those, but we got our name out there.
And that's huge. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think like Ski's foresight to even just like watch what you created on YouTube, hit you up, give you this opportunity, then to be able to pick these songs,
he's a
right?
genius.
Like that's just insane.
He's a genius.
That's insane.
And at the time when I was young, so I was thinking like, "Oh, we're a music video company." And he was like, "No, we're a marketing company." And I'm like, "Okay." So what he was doing was he was gathering a YouTube page. Like I said, back then, if you had 10,000 subscribers, you were wild. We had 300,000, which was like
Insane.
yeah. So we were like the first really big, especially like urban channel. So he was taking all our analytics and he was going over to like big brands, Chevron, T-Mobile, BlackBerry, whoever, and whoever had a new product coming out, especially a product that he thought was going to do well. Because then he wanted to be able to like claim that he broke it, like we broke it as a company, which was another genius move, right? Like something that you heard a lot of buzz about, like I don't remember what those cars were that looked like a Rolls Royce, but they weren't. They were like the
Oh yeah.
whatever those were. I don't remember. Chryslers?
Yeah, they were Chryslers,
Yeah, Chryslers.
300 or something like that.
Yeah. So
yeah.
like that started getting a lot of like buzz, and right before it like kind of like blew up, we did like little commercials for them. So we did bumpers for like our music videos because we got to premiere all the videos that we did. He was like, "Look, you're gonna give us 10 grand, no problem. We're just gonna premiere these videos on our channel." And Interscope was like, "Okay, sure," because you have more followers than us. Like we don't have anything. You have 300,000. It's a win-win for everybody, and you're gonna do it for cheap. But obviously they didn't understand the value in that at the time.
Yeah.
Ski did, which was so impressive because there was
Insane.
no value there.
None.
Right? But by doing that, we were able to sell bumpers. And people were like, "What are bumpers?" Like we'll do like 10-second commercials for you and put them in front of our videos so that your product is seen by 300,000 that are in this demo that are right up your alley for your car, for your BlackBerry, or for your flip phone, or whatever it was. And so he's like, "We're a marketing company." He's like, "I'm just using these videos to just to bring in the audience so that we can sell the audience."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So then
Brilliant.
Yeah. So it was
Freaking brilliant. Look at you, Tyler.
yeah, and we
It's all good.
and then we started getting a lot of we started doing a lot of product placement, which wasn't that like predominant back then either.
Yeah.
We were the first ones to put Beats by Dre into a music video and all that stuff. They came in like a armored car with like a suitcase. I mean, yeah, which had like a handcuff to one of the guys because it was like the first ever Beats by Dre that had ever left Interscope.
No way, man. That was huge when he did that with the Beats by Dre. And so you guys did that.
Yeah, we were the first ones to put him ever in a music video.
God damn, man. I mean, just the foresight to be able to do all of this at that moment. How long had you been working with him?
Like, I mean, by the time all these videos came out, it's like probably 2 years, like a year,
So 2 years, a year, right? You're going through that experience. What was next for you?
More music videos. We did. I mean, and we did like series. I told him like I want to event. Like we got to do more because these things are just
Yeah.
it just got repetitive, and I stopped feeling excited in the morning. I stopped feeling anxious when I went to bed. A night before the shoot, and I'm like, I want that back. Like I got to try something out of the box. So we started shooting like documentary series. We just try to do as much like branded content as possible and just try to get our stuff paid for and to get money from it.
Yeah.
I did a documentary series called Up Close where I went with like Nipsey Hussle to Europe. I did like Exhibit, Kid Ink, a couple other people. And that documentary series was all about like hard times. I don't want to know about your flashy cars or your jewelry. I want to know about all the struggles that got you to this point. And that was a really cool series. But then eventually it got to a point where I'm like, all right, I got to go venture off,
Yeah.
and just see what else is out there for me.
Before we get to that, what was that experience like, doing Up Close? Because like we were talking about earlier, like with social media, everyone wants to paint the good side, everything's rosy, perfect, but obviously you have your good times and your bad times. And to be able to create something like that, right, to bring out the rawness in an individual, someone as big as Nipsey Hussle was, rest in peace, right? What was like? How did you even come up with that idea, and then what was it like, creating that?
I think for me, what I noticed that a lot of people would latch onto, at least with me specifically, like on my personal channels, would be how transparent I was about what I was going through, and a lot of people could relate to the struggling times, and then they were happy when they saw it go well. So I just knew that there was something there, and I also knew how hard things are in these industries. And I'm like, look, you already have a million pieces of content that show all these things. Like, let's show another aspect of it. And I just what I really wanted to do, and this was my main focus, was to humanize the artist. I wanted the audience and the artist to be on the same plane. Because it's never that. It's usually like this, which I do agree you do need, but not all the time. And so I'm like, let's make them human.
Yeah.
That was my goal, my mission, and I definitely think it achieved that. And it was awesome. I loved it. And then Nipsey wasn't Nipsey,
Not yet,
right? I think the Marathon Continues had just came out. I got to be honest, I had never listened to Nipsey up to that point. I just wrapped a shoot. Ski's like, get on a plane, you're going to Europe. I'm like, all right, cool. He's like, download and listen to The Marathon Continues. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, just listen to it. So the whole flight, I listened to that thing. And I got off the plane going, holy shit, this guy is amazing.
Yeah.
He's fucking amazing. And
Yes.
I'm like, and I'm about to go, go meet him in 20 minutes, but, that mixtape or album or whatever really put in perspective like who he was and really just, I don't know, it got me excited because he was everything he embodied everything I wanted to capture in this series. So I was so excited that he was going to be, on it, and I got to tell his story. And that experience, it was just me, him, and his managers, and like we slept in the same room.
Wow.
Like we partied. Like after we were done with the concert, he's like, "Matt, you want to go?" Yeah, let's go.
Oh
and
my
so
gosh.
that was great. It was like 15 days of that, and like I don't remember how many places we did, like Paris. Yeah, we did a bunch of places,
All of
and then while we're doing that, I mic'd him up, and he's just telling me his life story,
Yeah.
So I don't think it gets much better than that. And then I built the series around concerts. So like he was doing like 5 or 6 shows. Then he goes and performs. Then he talks about his life on the way to the next destination. And then in between that, we did like little music videos. So that was kind of the whole piece as a whole was like 2 or 3 music videos, live performances, and then your backstory interweaving like, through all that stuff. But it was wild, partying till 4 or 5 in the morning. He's on the phone with Rick Ross, telling me like, I'm not gonna sign. And Rick Ross is like, I'll give you $1 million. He's like, don't do it, man. If everyone asks you, don't do it. like, nah, Rick, come on. He's like, I fuck with you, whatever, but like I can't do that. And he got off the phone. He's like, don't ever do that. If they ever say that, they're gonna give you $1 million, you gotta ask. You gotta know that they're gonna be taking a lot from you at that point, right? He's like, they want 360. They want all my material to start making money off that. Everything I've done up to this point. He's like, I'll never do that.
Wow.
And obviously he stood true on that.
100%.
Yeah, and went on to do a lot of things. And so that was a big, like, just being around him and his energy. And some of my friends would be like, why do you like him so much? I'm like, dude, it's his persona, like his swag and his energy. And he was so positive, and he was like beyond a mentor. He was like, I don't even know how to say it, but everything out of his mouth was pretty much information for you to store.
Yeah.
Something that you were going to use sometime in your life.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was amazing. I came home, told my dad about it. So when he passed away, my dad was the first one to call me. I found out through my dad, but it was that big that my dad thought to call me when he saw it. So that just goes to tell you how big of a like influence that had on
your life.
Yeah.
When he passed, what did that feel like?
Shock,
Yeah.
It was tough. It sucked, like, yeah, I don't know. I think that was probably one of the first people that I ever, had some sort of connection to that passed away, other than like my grandma. But I was just like, I don't know. I just didn't believe it for a long time,
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I mean, it was just how it all went down.
yeah, it was just tragic. And he was moving so well at the time. He actually signed to us at Ski TV as an artist a little bit after that. He just never came to the studio. He would just like, all right, Matt, let's shoot some videos. We would go talk about him. He'd take me to like little Ethiopia. We would talk, whatever, and then he would just not show up for like a year. Like nobody could hear from, like no one heard from him, and then he'd pop up again and be like, I want to drop this tape, whatever. And like I have no idea what he went and handled his business. I have no clue. He obviously needed to go away. So
Wow.
that was that was my experience after that. So
After you finished off with ski, right?
Yeah,
You went through
yeah.
that. What was next?
what was next was a freak out period.
Yeah.
The new rep that I got decided to let me know that we weren't going to take any small jobs. And by small, she meant anything under 50,000. So I was definitely freaking out. I didn't know what she meant by that.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to do any jobs. Is basically what I heard. So like, how am I going to make money? She's like, no, by this point in your career, you should be asking for at least 50,000, and if not more. So that should be like your bottom line. It's the smallest budgets you do. And mind you, everything up to that point was under 50,000, 30,000, things like that. But we were doing a lot of favors, and nobody was really making money. We were, like I said, we were using those more as a calling card. She's like, that portion of your career is over. And so I sat for a couple months freaking out.
I'm sure, bro.
Yeah. And I don't know what exact, I think she allowed me to do other jobs, but we just didn't put my name on them. And we didn't let the record label know that I was doing them, I think. Because I still made money, not a ton, but I survived.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what video it was, but something came along and we were off to the races.
Is it weird looking back at all the videos that you have done, the music videos, all the content you created? Sometimes it kind of like blurs together, right?
Oh, yeah. I don't remember. I mean, yeah, there were so many. I mean, I've done probably at least a couple hundred.
Jeez.
So sometimes we do 4 in a month, 2 in a month. Like it was always, there was never a long period besides this one, which was only a few months that I wasn't doing something,
Yeah.
I mean, over the span of my career, as far as projects, I've probably shot 1,000 things.
Yeah.
And I also edit, so I edited everything. So I'd be editing the last project, writing the next project.
Yeah. What was it that she wanted to up the rate for you? Is that why she didn't want you to do anything below 50?
Yeah, and because, I mean, obviously she had her fees as well. So like things kind of changed. And that's kind of what they're there for. As an artist, I'm not really concerned about money. I'm like, sure, 20 grand and whatever, right? Like, and if I like the artist, I like the song, or who knows, right? Like I tend, and I think most artists tend to just overload their plate sometimes, and not necessarily focus on the compensation. So she was kind of that side of my brain for me, and that's kind of why you have them there. And then to put your name in conversations that your name's not really a part of. Which she did as well, which was tremendous. And it definitely helped me out. Like it was a huge, because before that at Ski TV, we were a company. Matt Alonzo was known because I like I said, we weren't making a ton of money at the time, and we were using these videos as calling cards. So one thing I did was brand myself and put all the videos, put credits in all the music videos, and it always said Matt Alonzo presents, Matt Alonzo presents, Matt Alonzo presents. It got to the point where they were like, all right, you have to put Matt Alonzo and Ski TV presents because it was becoming such a thing that people knew, and so they were like, no one's bigger than the company type of thing, which I understand,
Get
right?
that.
But at the same time, there wasn't a ton of compensation, so I used that as like, okay, well,
Yes.
I got to get more jobs, and so I forgot what the question was.
No. It's all, it's all good. It's all good. Right. So you go through this kind of transition period in your life, right?
Yeah.
And that, anytime you have transition in your life, it can be scary, right? You don't know what the future is going to hold.
Yeah.
Right. But so you go through this, you team up with this lady, right? And was there like a video or a piece of content where things really started to change again?
I teamed up with her, and then I also teamed up with Tara Razabi over at Happy Place, which was like the production company, so she would get me the Jamie Con Rabineau was her name, was my agent's name, and Happy Place was the production company. So Jamie would go get me videos. We would get the video. They would ask like what company's going to do it, because if he directs it, still what company they wanted to know, because I didn't have my own company, and I was so young at the time. So they would say this company, Happy Place, which everybody knew. So I got more jobs that way.
Yeah.
I also had to pay more money because I had to pay both companies, but it was well worth it for me. So we started getting a lot of jobs, and Tyler the Creator was coming out. I had already had a relationship with Chris Clancy because he was the one at Interscope giving us those videos. So when he went over to manage Tyler and left Interscope, and they started Odd Future Records, we already had a relationship. So he looked to me. So those, I did a few things with Tyler. I did a lot of music videos for Odd Future. So that was those were very beneficial and fun,
Yeah.
And then some of the artists that I had already built relationships, like Far East Movement, they had a couple other records that were really big records. The label actually backed those records, and the budgets were very big. And then Game. So Game continued having records, and I was his go-to. So those kind of transferred over, and we just kind of continued the process. Now thinking back, realistically hearing you say that, and change is scary and stuff like that. It is.
It is.
And I think if it would have happened now, I would be a little bit more in tune with my emotions and stuff. But back then, I just was I don't know, head down. I'll just edit and pretend nothing exists.
Well, when you're young, you're naive, man. You don't know any different. And not that you were stupid, right, by any means, but when you're young, you just don't know. And
it helped me.
It does. Of course. I remember at the beginning of the podcast, you were talking about when you were younger, it was like you worked at the Gap, you did this, and this. And it's like you did all of these things, right? The moment. And it's like the drive and the hunger that you have, not that you don't have it as an adult, but you get stuck in your ways. You build your life, you create these things, right? And it's just but when you're younger, you just go, go.
I mean, unfortunately and fortunately, I'm still the same way. Probably why I don't have a wife and children, which is, both a gift and a curse, probably more of a curse than anything else. But that's just what was instilled in me, and, like I said, both my parents being, from broken homes probably had something to do with it. And just kind of the work ethic, work, make something of your life was pretty much instilled in me. Don't relax. So,
and just keep pushing. I mean, and that's so great and positive to have that in your life, and to have, your mother and father instill that, and especially in a day and age where, a lot of people, go through their own shit, dude. I mean, I lost my pops at 17, and
I actually just lost my mother. If you notice, I have mom here. I just lost her a month ago.
Dude, what happened, if you don't mind me asking?
Overdose.
Okay.
Yeah, overdose, but it was out of nowhere. So it was I was in Atlanta shooting some stuff for a branded series that we're shooting over at Faze Clan.
Yeah.
And I got that call, so it was life changing. So I can't imagine, and to be honest, I've had a hard time relating to anybody, or like really not necessarily relating, but talking to people who can't empathize truly with how I'm feeling, you know? So like even, and I know this kind of sucks to say, but like, I want to ask you so many questions now because like, I'm like, you know, does it ever get better? Like what, like, do they come to you in dreams? Like all these things that you can't, you know? So I kind of like look for people who,
I get that.
you know, had somebody in their life pass away, just because like this is the scariest thing I've ever had to deal with.
100%, man.
You know,
it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter if you're 17, 36, 37, 40, 50, 60, 70. Whenever you lose a parent, it's fucking terrible.
Yeah.
And does it get better? I mean, anything in life, man, as time goes on, things do get better, but the pain is always there. For me, for a very long time, I didn't work through that pain.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if I wore it like a badge, which was kind of dumb of me because it just caused a lot of issues, especially like being young, losing my dad, right? And it took me down a very dark path for a very long time. And then eventually I found an amazing therapist that allowed me to really dive deep inside and work through all of that trauma. And it fucking sucked, man. For like 6 months, I put my wife through hell trying to work through that shit because it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. And I totally understand what you're going through. My dad, I mean, he died of a massive heart attack, but he drank like a fish, smoked like a fish. He killed himself, right? And it sucks. But time does heal it. But the number one thing I can say is you got to work through it.
Yeah, you know, thankfully I'm very tapped into psychology. I absolutely love it. And more, you know, originally it was more so for learning about the audience, learning about my, you know, how to manipulate, I guess, via my films, like whatever my projects were. I mean, that's essentially what you're doing. You're manipulating the audience to buy the product. You're manipulating the audience to like the artist. That's just what you're doing, you know, like when it all boils down to it. And so learning psychology, learning about, you know, trauma, broken homes, what are the outcomes, you know, and it's all pretty much, I mean, yes, there's some outliers, but it's pretty much, you know, the stats are there, right? The data is there. And then the evolution of that became looking deeper in myself.
Yes.
And then realizing like, oh, I definitely have OCPD. Like it's not OCD where I like open the door 7 times. It's perfectionism.
Yeah.
And that's like the worst thing to have as an editor or as a filmmaker, because you need to be decisive. You need to make your choices and live with them instead of like, well, is there something better to do? Like, and then questioning yourself. Like I've had to send money back because I've edited like 7 versions of a video and I felt all of them were shitty. Wow. Which, yeah, right. Like I didn't think anything was wrong with me. Like I thought that was like a natural thing, you know, until I started like diving deep and I got a therapist, and she was like, yeah, I found out some way, but as soon as I found out, I was like, oh, I want to read everything about it and really look into like what's going on with me. And I thought everyone wanted to clean their room all the time. And then I learned like, no, you just want to clean when you're anxious or when you have a project due. So you like do something else because you don't want to, you're terrified of the project not being perfect. And I'm like, whoa, all right. Yeah. So I've been able, you know, to definitely tap into all that. And I've been taking it as it comes with, you know, all the emotions and things that are going on. And I'm, you know, I think the best thing that I read was, you're never going to be the same person, right? And so don't even. It's not about like getting over it or anything. It's a. You need to ask yourself when you're ready, like who are you now, and you know how are you going to live with this grief? Like how are you going to live with it? Because it's not going to go away, right? Like, and you're not going to go back to that innocent person you were before. And so that was like put things into perspective for me. So I didn't try to like. I'm not thinking about like, oh, I got to get back to being this. I'm never going to be that, you know? Not like I'll never be myself, but I'm a different version.
You are.
Yeah.
You are a different person because for so long it's like mom is in my life. Mom is like, you know, and then eventually it happens to all of us. However it happens, there comes a time when our parents, you know, pass away. And
the pain though, it's something you just cannot describe.
No.
it's and my sister. I have a younger sister, and so like we're both going through it, and we'll call each other, and we'll just be like, we'll just be in like in awe of like how deep it is. Like, why does it hurt so bad? Which no one can relate to unless you've
gone through it.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the cries that I would do for
Crazy,
you,
right?
dude. So deep, so like I did not know I could cry that much.
Same. Or like that deep. Like I didn't know I could. I didn't even know I had a place down there.
Yeah,
that could be broken. That's what like trips me out. You know, because I thought I've been hurt before, but it's like a loss. It's like I don't know. You know, but they say like, you know, all animals and everything, like, you know, it's part of the process, but like they're a piece of you. It's nuts. Did your dad ever come to you in dreams?
not dreams, but a DMT experience.
Okay, I might need to try that.
So, I 5 years ago, actually today, I had I don't know if I actually told you. I was telling someone, maybe Tyler. I don't fucking know. But 5 years ago today, I know who I was. I was getting a massage today, and I just told my massage therapist. Sorry. 5 years ago today, I was on an airplane flying to go visit my mother in Jersey, and I started like throwing up uncontrollably. And by the time I landed, I was bleeding out of every part of my body.
Wow.
And I got rushed to the hospital, and I was having massive internal bleeding. And for 2 weeks, they couldn't figure out what was going on. And so they were giving me so many blood transfusion. And eventually I caught a terrible infection while I was in there. And I was put on life support. Wow. I was trached, the whole mass. I couldn't breathe on my own. It was fucking terrible. And
do you remember any of that experience? Or were you they put you into a...
No, a lot of it I do remember.
Wow.
A lot of it I do. But what had happened was I had made peace that I was going to die, because I really like thought this was it. And after about being 3 weeks in there, my wife says, I'll be back in a couple hours. I'm going to go to the hotel. She stayed by my side, but my mom got a hotel next to the hospital. And she says, I'm going to go shower. I'll be right back. And I couldn't talk, dude. I mean, I'll show you pictures afterwards, dude. And she was gone for a couple hours, and she comes walking in, and my brother comes walking in, and my sister. And I didn't know they were coming. Obviously they were coming, right? But like she had surprised me. And I have that video, and it came up on my wife's time hop today, right? And so something switched inside of me, and I've got to fucking live, right?
Wow.
About a week later, I ended up getting released. They found out what was going on with me, and they got the infection down. But for the longest time, for about 4 months, I couldn't grasp why I was still alive. And I started having thoughts in my head of like wanting to off myself. And I remember I flew out to New Orleans for like an event. And while I was out there, I got all fucked up, and I had a Britney moment. I shaved my head, shaved my eyebrow, shaved my beard off. I fucking snapped, bro.
Wow.
I literally snapped. And I fucking look like a wet seal.
I was shaving your eyebrows, shave the head, I get, but like, well, I just want to know what's going through your brain. Like, fuck it,
bro.
I don't
know,
yeah.
Bro. I was just gone, dude.
Yeah.
I was a shell of myself. And I remember my friend said he had some DMT for me, and he said, whenever the time is right, you'll know it. So I get back into town looking like a fucking wet seal.
Oh my God.
I ended up purchasing like fake eyebrows that look like caterpillars.
Oh my God.
Bro, this is crazy, man. This shit, like it'll snap you, dude. And so I go to his house, and I take the first hit, the second, the third, the fourth hit. And I'm laying on the bed, and I just get into this other fucking dimension.
Yeah.
And I remember looking up, and I saw these eyes, and they were my father's eyes. And I was talking with him, but like telepathically. It was kind of weird, right? And I was like crying to him, saying, Dad, I just want to die. Like I can't fucking do this anymore. I don't understand why I'm alive. And he goes, Brock, it's not your time. You have a lot to do. You have a lot to give this world. It is not your time. And the last time he said that, I was back in reality.
Crazy.
And those feelings of wanting to kill myself evaporated, melted.
Amazing.
It was the most surreal experience. And then there's one more, right? I was, my friend and I were at this gas station. We were ready to go on this camping trip, meet up with some friends, and we're sitting at the gas station. We're talking. He's talking to me about numerology, right?
Yeah.
Like about numbers and the signs and the patterns. And the next thing I know, we're like 45 minutes sitting at a gas station, right? Like, because I was just like so enthralled, right? And I was like, I got to go to the bathroom, right? So I go inside. I ask the guy, where's the restroom? And it was like, when I walked in, it was like cold inside, but like comforting. It was weird. I go into the bathroom, and I remember I was like, Dad, if you're listening to me, just show me a sign, right? And so like I'm taking a piss, and as I'm saying that, right, I see my lucky number is 3, right? I see etched into the toilet, right? Like someone wrote a 3, and I'm like, yeah, fuck that, right? That's just there, right? And I was like, yeah, right, like in my head. And as I start to look down at the toilet, I swear to fucking God, it was like someone cut a 3 out of a napkin perfectly.
What? Put it in there?
I don't know, bro. This was not like, so I don't fucking, and dude, I started crying, like just crying. And I'm like, bro, is that coincidence? I don't fucking know what it is, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know. Very weird. We're talking about numerology.
Boom.
Like, I don't know.
The tears cemented it.
Bro, it was
whatever those are called, grief attacks or whatever the fuck they're called. They're assigning itself, right? Like, and you asked a question, so.
I mean, I got the answer.
Yeah.
So regardless if it was real, a figment of my mind, whatever the fuck it was, it doesn't matter.
It was real.
It was real to me.
Yeah.
And I can feel it in here.
Yeah. No, I can understand that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and then the fact like you ask something, right? Like, cause those things come over me sometimes.
Yeah.
In the middle of a fucking, Zoom meeting, right? And they're so powerful. But if I were to ask something and then hit that, like, right, like, and then sees a couple signs,
it's weird, bro. And I mean, there have been plenty of times where I'm like, Dad, show me a sign. Nothing happens. Nothing happens.
And my little sister was like, I asked mom to come to me for my birthday, and she didn't come in my dreams. I'm like, I don't think it works that way.
I don't think it does.
I don't think it works that way.
I mean, that would be amazing.
I know, that's what I said.
That would be amazing.
I was like, that. Yeah, yes, exactly. I'd be just asking every night, hey, come visit me.
I think it happens when you need it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they know. Right. If there's something after this, when we pass, an afterlife, whatever it is, right. Or if it's just energy, whatever the fuck it is, man, it's like these things happen when you need it. And I needed it, man. So, when they say time heals all pain, it does. It does. Working through it was the hardest thing for me, but the best thing for me.
Yeah. It seems like you had a lot built up there, right? Like a lot of things,
I did.
Luckily, my family was very we had open communication, sometimes too much or whatever. But my parent and I commend my parents because they had absolutely no role model. Like they had no sort of place to grab this information from.
Yeah.
But like when I was 6, I would get grounded. They would come in and say, "This is why you're grounded. How do you feel?" Right? Like give me the opportunity to plead my case, to have a voice. They would listen. They wouldn't make fun of me. They wouldn't like tell me not to talk. Right? They probably laugh once they got out because I don't think I should be grounded because I ate my Brussels sprout or whatever. Yeah. Right? Like, but I was given the opportunity to communicate and praise for that. So to keep all this communication open and to be able to say what was, I learned naturally that I could say what I felt. Sometimes that's a curse, right? Like,
but it's beautiful, man.
Yeah, not in business meetings.
But yeah.
So I had to learn how to when and when not to use that power of mine.
100%, 100%.
But I definitely, it definitely helps in times like this. But I don't think there's no right or wrong way, and there's really no sort of help in this circumstances.
It'd just be
but it does comfort me, to be honest. Like I said, it's very weird to say, but like it comforts me to be in the presence of somebody else who understands that.
100%.
Which it's kind of like a fucked up thing to say.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, right?
Absolutely.
Because I just feel very like no one gets it, but then when you're like, oh, okay,
Yeah, it makes the world of difference. Because the thing is like when you're in your 30s, most people don't lose their parent. When you're 50s, 60s, right? That makes more sense, right?
Yeah.
When you're a teenager, we know how long people live on average, right? And we know at what age people tend to have kids, right? So let's say your parents had you at 30, right? Your parents had you way younger, but
Yeah, 18.
I have very young, but on average people have it, like 30 right now, whatever that exact number is, right? So, and on average people live 70, 80 years old, depending if you're male or female. So by the time you're 50 is when you should lose your parent, right? Not 37.
Yeah, no, for sure. It was, it's definitely a challenge, so.
And you'll work through it, brother. It will get easier. That. Time does heal everything.
I asked another friend of mine, and she's an older lady, and she lost her son actually. And I think she kind of described it the best was nothing ever makes me truly as happy as I was when he was alive. And so I think that's kind of like a good, I'm never gonna be the same, right? Like my highest high is never gonna reach higher than what it was when she was here or when he was here.
Absolutely.
I think, you're still gonna get up there, you're still gonna enjoy your life, but I think that kind of, at least, not like, I'm very optimistic about life, but I'm very real with my expectations as well.
I would say for her that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
But for you, and I hope you do, right? Ever have kids?
Yeah, no, I want them.
Right.
Ladies.
Like, come on.
Call in, please.
Call in. This is an infomercial.
You have a limited time.
Matt.
Limited time. For a limited time, you get a special gift.
But, a parent losing a kid, like that's, a kid losing a parent losing a kid. Oof.
It's kind of, it kind of reverses as,
of course,
as you get older. And so,
yeah, but I get it, man.
Yeah.
I got you, bro.
But yeah.
Time heals everything, brother.
I don't know. Yeah.
It does. It does.
Or makes you forget, which not like forget about
no,
that, but
well, you do.
No, what heals is working through it, and that takes time.
Yes, it does.
Because we could have ignored shit for like forever. Time didn't do anything.
No, it
right?
didn't. Well, dude, and I just worked through this 2 years ago. I'm 36, right? So I was 34.
Man,
I couldn't talk about my dad without crying. I couldn't bring up a conversation without bawling my fuck. I couldn't hear the song without bawling.
Wow.
Now I can do that. But that took a long time.
Yeah, and crying is not a bad thing.
No, I love crying. I'm a crybaby.
I'm sure that cut off a lot of your other emotional, senses as well. And then you're probably less emotional in your relationship and very rigid in other things.
Yes.
There's a snowball effect, right?
Of course. Absolutely.
It's amazing just how much emotions control
everything.
Yeah.
We let the emotions get the best of us a lot of times.
Well, my dad always told me your emotions mean nothing and your responsibilities are number one. My dad was very militant. You know what I mean? So and he meant more like if you wake up and you want to be lazy, fuck that. You have a list of things to do. Once you're done, you can be lazy.
Yes.
But just because you don't want to do it means nothing.
Nothing.
So that's what I'm, more so. But that kind of, as a kid, I didn't understand the nuances to emotions, so that just kind of was a blanket statement for all my emotions. So yeah, you can ask some of my ex-girlfriends, like, he is not emotional at all.
I get it, man. I get it. We all work through shit differently, and we all look at life differently.
Of course.
So not to take a topic off of your mom, but I want to go back to the story, right?
Of course.
Okay, so you end up, leaving ski. You sign with this thing, right? Yep. You sign. Right. So what happened after that? You started to go out, on your own. You have these experiences.
So I guess I kind of jumped one portion of this midway through, being with ski. An agent from ICM reached out to me, which ICM is one of the, I don't know even if they're still around, but
they're huge or were huge.
They were huge, right? Yeah. So they were one of like the top, what were they, like management?
I believe management,
right? Yeah. So they were like, we want to rep you as a feature film director. And I was like, okay. I called my dad. I'm like, Dad, ICM wants me. He's like, what is ICM? My dad works for the city of Santa Barbara. Like, he didn't have any sort of knowledge of ICM. I'm like, I don't know. He's like, okay, cool. Well, you should look it up, whatever. So I was with ICM for like 4 years, and this kind of like overlapped leaving ski and then being on my own. So, and I was up for a bunch of feature films. Never really made one because my agent was like, yo, you got to get a $20 million movie. I'm like, who's going to give a 24-year-old kid a $20 million movie with Denzel Washington? And I don't even know how to speak properly yet. I can't even, button my shirt up or whatever. Right. So, but that kind of just like reiterated what I wanted to do. And like, as far as going into features and really just, but music videos were just so easy.
Yes.
And they were literally like, I didn't have to go search for them. They were coming to my door. So I continued that path. And then I decided to just create my own company, Martin Artist Creative. I had my logo made, which was an MA. And I started this company when I did the Lil Wayne thing, because I had my logo and I hated my friends like saying, yeah, I work for Matt Alonzo Films. So I was like, all right, modern artist. So like I had to think of a name that would fit with the logo because I didn't want to change my logo at the time. So I actually like created LLC and like really did that. So I did a ton of jobs, on my own, and then like the bigger jobs I would do with them, and that went on for a while, for a long time. I did a lot of big videos, and I dabbled in other fields, and eventually I wasn't writing on anything. Like I just didn't want to write because you have to create a whole presentation for every song, and you might not get it. Like the likelihood of you getting it is 1 in 50.
Yeah.
So writing 4 or 5 of these a month, it was just like, I don't want to do that, So I told her like, I don't really want to write. So we started doing like single bids. Basically, she would go and be like, if you want Matt to write, he has to be the only person to write on this. And so that, that was like hit or miss. And it got to a point where she's like, look, these jobs are coming in. Do you want to write? And I was just like, no. And she's like, all right, well, if you're not going to write anymore, like I can't rep you because, right. And I totally understood. I was like, absolutely. Like, I don't want to waste a roster spot when there's somebody else who's as hungry as I was 5 years ago. It's not fair. And so I just started doing my own thing, and so I did that for a while. And, at that point I decided like, all right, I want to start teaching a little bit, because teaching was always like, I didn't have a mentor. I kind of pissed all my potential mentors off when I came in and undercut them, because they were the ones doing the $250,000 videos. Yeah. And I came in and did $10,000 videos, and they were like, forget this guy.
Yeah.
Right. And then I'm like, no, what do you mean? Like, I want to learn from you. They're like,
no.
Yeah, you're my competition and you're undercutting. You know what I mean? They would actually be really mad at me. Sometimes they would come on set and be like, I'm supposed to be shooting this video and all this stuff. I'm like, because I didn't know. They had relationships with the artists prior to my existence into the industry, and they chose to go with the cheaper guy and the younger guy or whatever, right? And so that didn't really work. But I since I didn't have it, and I knew how pivotal it is, or it can be, to somebody's career or somebody's life, I just wanted the opportunity to be that for somebody else. So I did a class with Aperture Lighting when they were like really small. But we did, I did a master class with them. Wow. I did a lot of YouTube tutorials with my buddy Josh. He has a tutorial channel on YouTube. It's actually really, really big.
What's it called?
I can't think of it right now because I think he changed his name. I forgot.
It's all good.
Dang, I gotta look that up. Because he actually just sent me a wedding invitation. So
hey, Tyler, look that up. Oh wait, he's not here anymore.
Okay, it's all right. Made by Olafemi, but I think it's Olafemi Tutorials now. So
okay, there we go.
Yeah, so I was doing a lot of tutorials on his channel. He actually used to work at Santa Barbara City College, and I went up there, talked to all the kids, and I was like, really excited about that. So any of these opportunities I just took. And then the one we did with Aperture, we had kids driving from Mexico, kids driving from Maine. The line was just around the block. It was packed. We had sponsors by Red, like everybody was there, and it was like a really cool thing. I got to show lighting setups and really like answer questions, and so I just kind of made that like a focus of kind of what I was doing, from social media to to real life events, and a lot of like I started the split screen thing where I was showing kind of like what the set looks like and then what the final product looked like, which really helped a lot of kids because they were able to be like, oh, he's not shooting with this sort of camera. It's only 2 lights and it looks that good. I can do that. Wow. And that's kind of what I wanted to achieve by doing that. I just wanted to give hope to all these kids because I started getting a lot of messages like, if I had a camera like that, then I could maybe make some films, or all I have is this camera, so I can never do anything. And I'm like, dude, it doesn't matter. But like me telling them that in a message goes, so far, and then them being able to see it in the split screen goes, further.
Yes.
And then being able to show them on set, like in real life, goes even further. So that became a priority. And then I did like the film league, which I created myself, where I had like, I don't know, 50, 70 kids come, and we did a whole day of, filmmaking, film school essentially.
Wow.
So that was cool. And then the pandemic hit, and so I was I was gearing up for another one, and just I kind of backed away from big label videos as a little bit before, but once the pandemic hit, there was no way I was going to go wear a hazmat to be around my friends.
Yes.
I mean, because realistically, like, yeah, I'm making a video or I'm shooting on set, but it's also a time to like socialize and be around my friends and have camaraderie and stuff. So with all that taken away, it didn't present anything I wanted to be a part of. You know what I mean?
I get that, yeah.
I saw some of my friends out there with like hazmats. I'm just like, there's no way.
Yes.
But thankfully, and for me, I had a lot of friends who were independent artists who still needed to shoot. Stuff still needed to be made. And so I just did that for like the whole time.
Was that hard? Like, especially when the pandemic hit, like, I know like a lot of creators, like even like my wife, right? Makeup artist, union, works on big movies, films, is just like.
But that was union, see? So for me, it was, I went away from anything that had any sort of structure to it.
Smart.
Right? And so it's just paper bag money, me, a camera, maybe another person or a couple people, go get an Airbnb, do whatever, right? Like, I wasn't really worried about getting sick. Like I got sick, once a year. I knew that was going to happen, but I wasn't overly scared of anything. Like, so I was out there, no mask, just shooting.
I get it.
Care.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
I'm going to get sick. Like, it is what it is.
Absolutely.
Life goes on, right?
It does.
And and I had that mentality, and better or worse, whatever, I made it through. Right?
Absolutely. Especially once all the data came out. Like,
let's don't get me started.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. I get it. I get it.
But, and I respect everyone's, like,
of course.
But I just, like, if they wanted me to wear a mask, I'm not shooting there.
100%.
So I did a couple things with that, and then after that, I was just like, I'm not walking around with this fucking painter's mask on.
No.
Like, and I can't breathe. Like, I was just like, I can't even breathe. Isn't it supposed to help me breathe? And then I realized, like, then I read all the data about, like, once you touch it once, it's no longer good. I see people just, I'm wearing them as a chin strap. It's on my hand half the time, and then I'm putting it back on like it's really doing something. You know what I mean? Just to go in a corporate office. I just found it hilarious, and I just didn't fall in with all that. Like I said, thankfully. And, I had enough friends and people in places that needed shit done.
Yeah.
And so everybody, just came to me, and we got stuff done. So
yeah,
it was definitely a challenge. It was definitely, I think like everybody else, it's just something you never experienced. You know
no,
what I mean?
not at all. I mean, it's fuck, man. I remember when it all first started, and you just like drive on the streets, just like ghost town, man. It was so weird.
And, in the first week too, you're like, this, okay, like, when is this thing over?
I know.
And then, it literally felt like a blink of an eye. And then it's like everybody's 2 years older now. Like, the kids are now, in whatever school or whatever. It just kind of trips me out even now, because like sometimes I skip that portion of it when I think about like, leading up, and I'm like, oh yeah, this, and they're like, no, that was like 4 years ago. I'm like, oh yeah, shit.
Isn't that weird, right?
Yeah, it's a trip.
It's just like a blink of a fucking eye. In the moment, it's like so strange, but now it's like we're through it, and it's like
towards the end there though, I was like, fuck freelancing and having my own company. I want to go work for a company.
Yeah.
Which I had never done since I left ski, and even ski wasn't corporate. I never went to the office. I had an office and a computer, a desk, everything, and I just never went at that time because I was just so young. But I'm like, I want to be around that, and hopefully, within that atmosphere, I can mentor some younger colleagues and just kind of have the camaraderie and the teamwork environment that I had been without for so long. Because like, I'm working by myself, I'm editing by myself. Yes, I have like my producers and people like that, but everyone's working remotely. I was just tired of being alone.
Yes.
So I wanted to go the complete opposite direction, and something I had never done. So I put my resume together, which I had never done my entire time, 15 years, 16 years out here. So that was,
experience.
It's atrocious. You know what I mean? Then I'm learning about like how they scan them in and like the keywords and like I'm like how am I not getting any jobs? Like I got nothing. I mean, I'm talking like nothing. Damn. You know, and I was doing like 1,000 a day, like just submitting. I mean, I was sending them everywhere, but and my resume's format was horrible. Like it didn't have any of the, proper verbiage, like whatever. But I'm just like, somebody's gonna see this that knows me or like knows of me or like maybe know like somehow, right? But no, it didn't work. And one of the guys that started Ski TV with me, Kai Henry, he was, one of the C wings over at Faze Clan, which is like one of the biggest esports company in the world, or at least in America.
Massive.
Yeah, and it's kind of a cultural company. I had no idea what Faze Clan was. All I knew was that he was going into an office every day that looked like, it was moving, and I was like, I want to be there. So I just hit him up and like, he's busy, I'm busy. Like, a lot of times we talk to people and kind of make plans, but not make plans. And then like, oh yeah, we'll do that. Whatever, we'll meet up. We'll do. And I was just persistent on his ass. Like, yo. And he's like, I've never seen you like that. You know what I mean? Because I'm usually the guy that's like, stuff comes to me a lot, but I was just like, I see an opportunity, just like the Lil Wayne thing or anything else. Like my hunger arose, and eventually he said, come over and come to this house. I met all the founders of Faze Clan and
like Faze Banks and all those dudes.
Banks wasn't there, but like Rain and Adapt and everybody, and I just still didn't know what the fuck the company did. I didn't know anything, He's like, branded content. I want him to do branded content, and he had Kai really came into that company and brought structure and brought in Snoop Dogg and brought in all these big brand deals. Because I met him when he was Snoop's manager and David Banner's manager. He was the first thing I ever did at Ski TV. He's like, yo, we're gonna go shoot this behind the scenes at Chris Brown's music videos. Chris Brown and David Banner and Young Jock, and he was directing that, but he was also David Banner's manager. And we had years of working together, and so I'm like, still don't know what this company is. He's like, I want you to go to the office now and meet the rest of the company, the corporate side or whatever. And mind you, like, I'd never been in an office in my life, like never.
Yeah.
Besides like the company, the infomercial company, but that didn't count. So, I mean, although our company is very, very like laid back and stuff, it was still something very new for me, And so they were like, yeah, we have all these things going. All these people kind of got thrown into their positions, especially with like the pandemic and coming out of it. And then this company kind of just being elevated, I guess, up to this new level of business in terms of like getting all these brand deals and sponsorships and contracts with like yearly deliverables and stuff as far as like content with the brands. And so they're like, yeah, here's a position for you, and let's go. And I'm like, okay. But I knew nothing. I mean, I haven't played a video game since Duck Hunt. You know what I mean? But thankfully, like a lot of the stuff I do is just branded content that really has nothing to do with gaming. It's more like lifestyle stuff. It just uses them as the talent. But coming from music videos, from like 50 naked girls running around on set, you got artists and everyone's partying, drinking, doing whatever. It's wild, to Faze Rug sitting on a couch, like, all right, guys, you guys ready for me? It was, it definitely tripped me out a little bit. It took me a little bit of time to kind of get used to it, because their personalities are so subdued compared to right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've shot rappers, R&B singers, rock, Chris Cornell. He was very soft spoken as well, but rest in peace. But these guys are a whole different beast.
Isn't it kind of crazy, right? To
think it's mind blowing.
Like e-game, like esports, like,
and we can't even have these kids leave their house sometimes because they make more money sitting at home, like not sitting at home because they're obviously streaming and doing whatever they're doing, but like in order for them to come on set, it has to be worth the time and literally within like money, like, right? Like not like, hey, it's worth your time if you come out to this thing. No, it literally has to equal or be more than what they're going to make in that span of time sitting on their stream, which for some of them is a lot of money.
A lot of money. I mean, who would have thought, right? When
I still don't think. I still can't even like.
It's hard to comprehend, right?
Yeah, and I try to explain it to people, and like, just friends or family or sometimes Uber drivers are like, what are you guys shooting? I'm like trying to tell them. They're like, well, from video games? I'm like, yes.
It's surreal. Like working with Faze, right? And doing all that. What is like a day in the life like?
A lot of meetings.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it's very corporate. So I wouldn't say very corporate, but very structured. And that's kind of the way you have to have it that way. At first, I was a little, what's the word? I don't know the exact word for it, but I was just kind of, I could do that. Why are we meeting? You know, I was just, I was bucking the system a little bit, right? Like,
yeah.
And, like, oh, these editors, we can do this and we can do that. And like, I can edit it all and all this stuff. And then I realized like, okay, no, it takes this whole team and like this whole machine and this whole process, which they kind of brought me in to like help the process materialize and like figure out where we can take out things, how ideas come from the sales team to the creative team to the production team to the post team, and like how all that works and be able to complete these tasks. So, but in order to do that, you have to meet with every department, and you can't do it all together because no one will, it'll be a really long meeting and no one will get anything in because there's so many people on the call. So a lot of calls and then like I said, I mean, really a day looks like, okay, we got a project from the sales team. They want to do a video for Faze, one of Faze's partners, which is like Ghost or we have a ton of them, MoonPay and all these big brands that have done partnerships with us and who expect a certain amount of deliverables throughout the year. So they say, hey, we need a tournament, which I don't really focus on, but like we need a tournament. We need all these different things. We need a branded piece of content. This is kind of like the idea. And then it goes to the creative team, which are a bunch of, young kids who are, have the most amazing ideas because they really don't have any sort of, I guess like in their mind, they don't have any sort of like cutoff. Like for me, I'm like, how much is the budget? Okay, this much, we can only do this.
Yeah. They
think anything's possible, which is like, it's like the truest form. It's very, I wish I could do that, but then I take it and then I put some structure to it, and then we go into production with it. And it's just like a music video or any other, form of content, but you're shooting for a square.
That's crazy.
And these are big budgets. These are budgets that are bigger than music videos. And you're shooting for an Instagram video or for TikTok or for a Twitter video, which is it's a trip.
Yes. Are you filming the stuff still, or are you just?
I mean, it just depends. You know what I mean? But the bigger jobs, I'll bring in my same crew from music videos. I'll bring in a bunch of these guys who obviously we do a bunch of other things, but like that's where I have worked with them in the past or on other projects. But yeah, I bring in these crews and I try not to touch the camera as much as possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes I still do, especially if like we're having because the talent, it's amazing because music videos and the one thing that is the same is that the talent wants to leave as soon as they get there. So whether it's esports or music videos, at least in my experience, which is a long time, they always want to go home as soon as they get there. And even when they show up for their own stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, which is I learned a lot of tricks on how to help that. But you'd be surprised. You got these artists coming for an 8-day, like we have an 8-day music video planned, and the artist touched down is like, all right, like how many takes we got? And you're like, dude, we're not even like started yet. You know what I mean? Like this is gonna be a long day because so but the same thing with because they're talent. And then these guys, they actually have a reason to want to leave because like they're losing money as the clock ticks. It's like cha-ching, cha-ching. You know what I mean? So that's crazy. So you try to be as efficient with their time as possible. So, but yeah, it's a trip, man.
It is. It's such a trip to think, in 2022, almost 2023, e-game sports makes more than professional sports than, movies, like so many different things. It's so surreal.
I still can't really wrap my head around it. I don't like denial.
Yeah, I get it. And you're all the way in it, man.
I know.
You're head first in that shit.
But the thing is, I don't know gaming. So I don't know I'm not from a fan's perspective, like,
For sure.
Oh man, this guy, that guy just did whatever he
Yeah.
did or whatever she did or whatever they did. Like I have hope they everyone gets the corporate side. Yeah, I don't know. So I'm like, oh, okay, because sometimes like some of my younger friends, relatives, whatever, like, oh, this, they did a trick shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like I don't really have. I'm really naive to all that stuff, which I think in some essence helps me.
I think it does.
Yeah.
It does for sure.
What I mean?
Right.
'Cause I just treat them like everybody else because
And that is the key.
Yeah.
That is the key, because once you start treating these people like they're God or they're all these special, people want to just be treated like normal people.
yeah, no, and they really want to be treated like normal people. I mean, everybody, Bieber, like Chris
Doesn't matter.
Brown, everybody. Everyone I've ever worked with, they actually kind of, I think it really pisses them off or like, kind of it discourages them from engaging with fans.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like they want to work, they want to do whatever, but they really want you to be they want to be recognized as human because their whole life they live through this persona, right? Like,
Yeah.
and yes, it's still their name, but like, it's not really, like I can't imagine what that's like,
Yeah. I mean, imagine being Justin Bieber and being so famous for so long, right?
He doesn't know what it's like, And when I worked with Bieber, my experience with him was a great one. He was a great kid. I mean, and everyone talks to him as like, he's doing this, and I'm like, yeah, what would you do at 14 with
100%.
$100 million? You don't know who's your fucking friend.
Yeah.
Right? Because none of these people have been around, and it's not their fault, but it's just you got famous so young. So like all this stuff's going through your head, and like, and you're acting out. Of course. You're driving your fast car. Of fucking course, right? But he was so polite, so nice. And the one thing that kind of trips me out is like the bigger the star, the more, I won't say self-conscious, but the more they ask me about their performance or like their outfit or how's my hair look, like they ask for my reassurance, which I would think would be kind of the opposite, because like the bigger they are, you would think like they know, but I found it to be the opposite. And like the people who are, I won't say nobodies, but getting started or don't have all the accolades and fame and everything, they're the ones who think they're the shit.
Yes.
Which is it's very surprising, you know what I mean? But that's one thing I remembered, like, does this look cool? Does this look cool, Matt? I'm like, bro, you're Bieber.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want me to tell you? Like, like anything you touch is
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
You're
what?
good, dude. You're good. You're good. You're good.
But they look for honest reassurance, you know what I mean? Like, because if you just say, yeah, you're cool, like, they're like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, which is a trip, but like, not really, because if you think about it, like, everybody's opinion of them has made them. Like, that's all they have, you know what I mean? So,
It's so true, man. And I mean, just imagine if you were judged for everything you did as a kid. My gosh, the things that Justin Bieber did were 1/10 the shit that I did at that age.
He pissed outside or something. Like, what, I don't remember what was going on at the time, because this was back a few years back. But like, I'm like, dude, every kid's done, like, what are you talking about?
100%.
It's like on TMZ.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, yeah.
Justin Bieber, like,
Yeah.
it's like so stupid, man.
If they did that to me in high school, like I said, I was crazy. Like when I started, I said, oh, how would they describe me? Crazy. Right?
Yes.
So I didn't. Yeah, I was a Bieber times 1,000.
That's such a true statement for myself as well.
Yeah.
When you look back at all the insane things that you've done and the life that you've been able to live, what does it feel like to you?
That's a great question. I never thought about that one. I thought I came prepared. At this point, right now, an unfinished product is what it feels like. And I don't think it'll ever be finished, but I just feel like there's so much more outside of my career that I need to achieve. I've had a lot of highlights within that, but I can't say I've had, equal or higher achievements outside of that, because so much of my time has been devoted to my career. So when I say unfinished, I don't necessarily mean career-wise. I just mean as a human being.
Yeah.
Not that it's my time to like stop, because this is what I do. This is how I'm going to make my living. But as far as balancing it out is a little bit more of a priority now. And I think that will kind of bring everything into perspective, and then allow me to, make choices that I maybe wouldn't make if it was just me as the sole dependent of my responsibility, like, or my choices, right? Like, if I had others, like, family or things where my choices mattered on a larger scale. You know, like I just feel like that part of my like the chapter or the book is missing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So because it's, you know, it's cool for so long, but like it gets to a point where it's like, all right, because like what are you really doing it for?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, your legacy and all that stuff, but you know, I don't know. I think there's more than that.
There's a lot more.
So it just feels like just feels unfinished, and you know.
Well, what is it? It's an unfinished book. You're 37,
Absolutely.
bro. You got a lot more time.
Of course. And
you got a lot more time,
it's
bro.
It's exciting that, you know, I've come to that conclusion, and I've already achieved so much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that does feel good. And, you know, I do pat myself on the back, but I also work my ass off. So like, I just feel like it all equals out. You know what I mean? Now, if I got all these accolades and all this stuff without working my ass off, maybe I would feel differently.
Yeah.
But I put the work in the trenches. So
yeah, I mean, you should always be proud of yourself, right? Especially if you're putting in the hard
well,
work.
not always, because if you're dicking
Not always.
around,
Okay, well, no. I'm saying
the guy watching this on his couch is like, yeah, I knew it.
Always.
Mom, what did you say? Rewind it. You know.
Holy shit, you're funny. It's so true, though.
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
Okay,
here.
I'll be careful what I say. But you know, as we start to wrap this up, right? What do you want to be remembered for?
Somebody who inspired others. Somebody who, you know, made a road when there wasn't one there, so that others could follow, and then gave the tools to the people to continue making those, you know, those down the road when I wasn't there, even if they took away from my, you know, food on my plate, right? Like, and I feel like I'm doing that, you know, and I'm definitely continue to like give back as much as I can and make new, groundbreaking, like, you know, achievements in the field, and just allow other opportunities for others to be created, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I loved what you were talking about earlier about with the kids, man, you know, giving back. And I absolutely love that.
Yeah. I mean, you know, yes, I kind of screwed up their budgets for a little amount of time as far as getting like, okay, everyone got opportunities now, which they wouldn't have before with the $10,000 music videos and shooting on the red camera. There's a whole crop of new directors and people who wouldn't have gotten an opportunity if we didn't break that barrier. But it definitely kind of hindered the budgets as well. So, you know, I mean, it's always a positive and a negative, but you know, as soon as I realized, like, you know, people were watching me, younger kids were watching me, I was an inspiration to others. Then I wanted to give as much knowledge as I could. And just hearing from them, they're like, most people don't do this in your position, and they don't give the details that you give. And I'm like, because they're scared. I would imagine scared of that other person taking their job.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's the normal progression of life. You know what I mean? Like, so why not give as much as I can back to them? Because I would want that if I was younger.
Yeah.
You know?
You know, for that young kid that's listening to this, that's trying to become a filmmaker and get into the industry. And I know this is like a cliche question, but like, run. No, what advice would you give them? Truthfully.
Okay. The advice I would give a young filmmaker trying to make it would be to get out a piece of paper and write down why you want to be a filmmaker. A lot of things I've been hearing lately have been financially motivated, and, you know, financially it's not the most secure or the most promising place to be. So if that's like the number one thing, then you need to figure out why you're here. Okay. Why you're here. Financially, of course, we all want to survive. We all want to make it. We all want to, but you're going to move differently. Figure out why you're here, where you want to be in 5 years. Let's just say 5 years. And we won't even say 10 years. Where you want to be as a filmmaker. Don't just say, oh, well, in 5 years, I want to be directing music videos for people. No. Like, where exactly are you? Is it your own company you're working for? Do you have an agent? How much money are these music videos? Who are you shooting? And why are you shooting them? Because where are you going to be in 5 years? Oh, I want to shoot movies in 5 years. Okay, so then those music videos better very narrative based, so that your transition into films and movies is much easier, and you're practicing your craft. Now, if you want to get into commercials, then you should, it should be a little bit different. Having that sort of roadmap will help you so that you're not just out here floating. And so many times I hear like, my goal is to just to shoot this, and I'm like, what after?
Yeah.
So think about what it is you want to take from this, and you want to give to this community and give to this industry, but also like where you want to be, so that you can do your work back, map. And I think that'll help you out tremendously, because a lot of people just want to be filmmakers. I just want to be a filmmaker. I just want to, but like, what do you want to do? And how does that look? Right. And then how does that look in all facets of your life? How much time are you committing to this thing? And you might find out that's not what you want to do, or you really want to do it and you want to do it like this. And then you can every decision will already be made for you based on what you want to do. And that just helps out so much.
Yeah.
And the next biggest thing I could say is expect the worst. Like, expect hard times. Expect that things are going to go completely awry, and every test that you don't want to take is going to present itself on this road. And it's hard, it's treacherous, but it also has all the rewards and the highs. But it's always an ebb and flow. As soon as you go up, you get a big thing happen, you're going to come back down, and then you can go back up. It's just a part of life. So just be prepared for that and understand it's part of the process. And some people don't like that roller coaster.
Yeah.
I am a little wild, and I don't like roller coasters, but I do like the roller coaster of life. But that's part of it. So don't get discouraged. Don't get distracted. And obviously, I'm not saying like just take all these L's. No, but like, understand that it's part of the process. And if you really want to do if you really want to do this as a career, then persevere, and learn perseverance, and just know that you're not an artist, which is like a really ironic thing to say, but your job is a middleman. So if you can work with the client, take their idea, put your own little sauce on it, film it, direct it, edit it, do whatever, and deliver it to the audience in a way that achieves the client's goal, you're winning. But never in that sort of circle of life there is there room for an artist to just go rogue. It took me 10 years to learn that. Jeez. And because I was going to do what I wanted to do. I'm like, I'm an artist. No, you're not. Right? Like, you're an artist within the confinements. And if you can do that right, there's artistry within that itself, because it's so hard to do. And you also make money. So like, that's where it's at. It's a sweet spot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
brother. I really appreciate you coming on the show, sharing your story. You dropped a lot of great nuggets, and for you just kept on pushing. You just kept on pushing.
Yeah. There was never like there wasn't any other option.
Yeah.
No backup plan.
Do you think it's important to have a backup plan?
That's kind of like my old head coming into like my, they say like you're like your parents at a certain age, and like my old head is like, yeah, you gotta have, but like I never had one up to this point. So, and I've gotten this far, because like I think most people say if you have a backup plan, it's most likely going to happen.
Yes,
because you're always gonna, because when these hard times come, you're eating top ramen, your car's getting taken, you see your car getting put onto a tow truck to never be seen again. You're gonna go, okay, backup plan time, right? So if you don't have that, then there's no option but to continue going forward. So
absolutely,
I don't think that was by design with me, but it is what it is.
No, it is what it is. And you've been able to build a good life for yourself and do a lot of amazing things and inspire a lot of people. And you've got a lot of love and a lot of life to live, brother.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
As do you yourself. I loved hearing about your stories.
Thank you. I appreciate you, man. And I get what you're going through. If you ever need to talk to anyone, man, I'm always a phone call away, brother.
Appreciate it very much.
Where can people find your stuff?
Matt Alonzo. Everything is Matt Alonzo. Like Instagram, Tinder, Bumble, Raya.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go, baby. Swipe right. You already know what it is.
All right, people. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful day. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, do all that fun stuff.
Like, subscribe. Come on.
Boom.
Peace.
Boom. Brother! My motherfucking man.
Oh.
Appreciate you.